Welcome to the World Away.
Travel tales to inspire your wanderlust.
Welcome back to the World Away. How are you all? How's your week been, Belle?
Well, I've got to say, the past couple of weeks have been pretty fabulous, actually, Kirsty. I am actually recording this edition from Niama Private Island in the Maldives, which I'm happy to report is deeply, deeply fabulous. I'm not going to tell you any more about it because I'm saving it all up. We're going to do a pod in a week or so, and I'm going to tell you all about the Maldives. And oh God, I love it. I love it so much.
But hang on, you need to tell us the real reason why you're so fabulous, because I am sitting here like a little proud, I don't know what I am, work wife, sister, friend. But I am just like literally bursting with pride about your news. So please do tell.
Oh, yes, that is the other one. I have actually been named Travel Writer of the Year by the Australian Society of Travel Writers. I'm really I'm really shocked by it because the two other journalists I was up against are phenomenally good writers. So, and I completely respect them. So I'm in shock. I won it a couple of years ago, but it does not get old. So the thing is to enter the award, you've got to submit 3 pieces of published work from the past year. So I put in 2 cover stories that I'd written for the traveller section of the Sydney Morning Herald and the Age. And one of them was on Alula, which is a northern oasis in Saudi Arabia, and why it's currently the hottest place to be right now. It's hot, not just because it's hot, but also because it's just incredibly beautiful, especially if, like me, you're a bit of a desert rat. And the next story was a trip I'd done with a fabulous British travel company called In Travel. It's INN Travel. And they specialize in self-guided walking tours. It's right up your alley, Kirsty. But then they've also branched out into cycling and rail journeys. And their whole ethos is sustainable travel, so that you're using public rail networks, not, private trains and stuff like that. So I traveled from Seville to Cadiz down the sea in southern Andalusia by train. And it was an exploration of flamenco and Fino sherry, and it was so good. Like, I just had the best time, and I was on my own. It was amazing. I was traveling up solo on that one. And the third was a feature I wrote for Luxury Escapes Dream magazine, which was about visiting Oman during its rose harvest scene. So I did actually chat about this on the podcast. If you'd like to take a listen, but you've got to dial way back to episode 40. So that is my fabulous news. I'm really feeling the love. And I'm just going to send out a special thanks to the Australian Society of Travel Writers for conducting the awards, to the editors of those travel sections, and also to In Travel Emirates, the Shangri-La and the Anantara Jebel Al Akta in Oman, and also Experience Alula, because, without them, there wouldn't be the stories, right?
Well, without them, there wouldn't be the stories, but without your beautiful storytelling and words, there wouldn't be a win. So, I mean, you are just a remarkable storyteller, and I've always said, and I say this to everyone I talk to, that you're one of the best travel writers in Australia, and obviously now the best. So, officially, so you absolutely deserve every success, and I'm just so proud. I was like just popping like a bottle of bubbly at this news, just so excited. So I'm so happy and proud of you. So well done. And as this goes to air, while Belle is basking in her glory in the tropical Maldives, I will be wandering around Split in Croatia after doing a hike in Greece and another one in Montenegro. Let's hope I drop this cold by then, which I probably won't have. And yes, because I am actually currently time traveling too, and I'm also already on board the adults only Viking. So I am super excited about that. And again, we'll tell you all about that later. But yes, moving on.
From away from our glamorous lives. Sometimes the glamour is real. Other times we're just trapped in our rooms writing like maniacs meeting deadline. So, what great lives. Okay, we better get this podcast recorded before the next seaplane pulls into the resort. So let's go. I am going to share some glamorous travel trivia, which comes from Brisbane Airport. So stay with me here. It recently held It's the largest ever lost property auction. And Kirsty, can you guess what the most expensive thing was that they were auctioning off, which had been left in the airport? I know you know, you're going to tell us.
It was a Bulgari 18K gold diamond necklace valued at, wait for it, $11,000. God, $11,000.
That's where I left. It was an 80-carat gold diamond necklace. Somebody left it in the airport, so they auctioned it off. I think that's just astonishing. That was my little bit of trivia. But from lost diamond necklaces to Australia's top drops, the also happening lately is the Halliday Wine Companion, which has named its top wineries for 2025. Halliday has been issuing this definitive guide to Australian wines for almost 40 years, and like the wine tasters are incredible. They review around 8,000 wines a year. So it's like it's a lot of wine, don't you think, Kirsty?
Yes, that is, and that's my Sunday night right there. But there were 1,100 wineries in the list, which they whittled down to 100, and the best winery, according to Halliday, was Vas Felix in the Margaret River region in Western Australia. So Margaret River is best known for its Cab Sauv as well as its stellar Chardonnays, and Vas Felix Hightsbury Chardonnay was named Chardonnay of the Year. Gosh, Chardonnay's come a long way, hasn't it? It's not lighter now than it used to be. Not that I'm a big Chardy drinker. And White Wine of the Year. And so the winemaker Virginia Wilcock was also named Winemaker of the Year.
I don't mind a little Chardonnay, oat preferably, because that's like, shoulder pads of the 80s. Coming in at number 2 is the Hunter Valley Stalwart Broken Wood, best known for its graveyard Shiraz. And the judges say its cellar door is one of the finest in the country. So put that on your travel plans. If you are going up that way in the Hunter, you can pop in for a quick tasting or do the full immersion at the cellar door, which is 3 hours north of Sydney.
And in third was Oak Ridge in Victoria's Yarra Valley region, which did really well because it was also the home to the fourth on the list, Mount Mary, whose Pinot Noir also hit the top note at Pinot Noir of the Year in 2026. I love Pinot Noir, actually. It's probably my favourite drop. And sixth, which was Yarra Yering and Giant Steps. Also, Giant Steps do a lovely, some lovely reds. I do particularly like those. If you're planning on sort of going around the best wineries in Australia, you'd be on solid ground by heading up to Yarra Valley, and it's only an hour or so, depending on traffic, northeast of Melbourne.
Yeah, we're so lucky we've got some of the greatest wine regions just outside Melbourne. So fifth, and the list goes back to the Hunter Valley, to one of Australia's most recognisable labels, and that is Tyrrell's wine, which was home to Australia's oldest continually produced Chardonnay. I reckon a few people probably cut their teeth on that little baby. And there's Yangara Estate in McLaren Vale and Giaconda in Beechworth as well.
And special mention for number 10, because neither of us minds a little sparkling, and that goes to House of Arras in northern Tasmania. 30 years of creating fabulous sparklings and a great reason to visit our most southerly state.
And we'll put a link to the show notes to Halliday's top 100 wineries for 26. So take a look and plan your driving tours, preferably with somebody else driving.
This week, we're going to our own lovely island state of Tassie because Belle was back there recently and we're chatting about what's new in the Central Highlands.
Oh, thank you, Kirsty. Yes, look, love Tassie. Can I just put in a full disclosure? My dad comes from Tasmania, so I do have a vested interest in this destination.
Oh, so great. There's so much to do in Tassie. I love it, love it, love it. And so where were you on this visit, Belle?
I was in the Central Highlands, so at Lake St Clair. So, fun fact, Lake St Clair is Australia's deepest freshwater lake. And this is at the southern end of the Cradle Mountain Lake St Clair National Park. So it's actually halfway between it's equidistant to Launceston and to Hobart as well. So it's about 2.5 hours west of Hobart on the Lyell Highway. And if you're coming from Lonnie, you're going via Longford as well.
And where did you stay while you were there?
well, this was the whole reason I was there at the moment. I visited Pump House Point, which is this incredible hotel in the wilderness. I have wanted to go here for years. It is set, so the setting is mountains, glacial lakes, ancient myrtle forests. It's just the most dramatic scenery. The thing about, I mean, it's a strange name for a hotel, right? Pump House Point, because the whole thing is it's hinged around an old pump house, which was built in the 1940s by the Tasmanian Hydroelectricity Commission, because of course Tassie runs its electricity on hydro, and the pump house was built. The sole reason for it is this Art Deco building for housing a giant pump, and then on the shore house it had all of the other machinations for the Hydro Commission. And then it was actually converted into an 18-room property about 10 years ago by a fantastic architectural firm, Cumulus Studio. So what it is, I mean, it's incredible because you've got this absolute industrial heritage, this machinery of building, and then inside it, you've got these absolutely beautiful, quite pared back rooms that are built into what was the pump house. So they barely changed the exterior, and the buildings are just weathered. They're 70-year-old buildings in this really harsh environment. But when you go inside, it is absolute simple luxury. It's comfort, and it does not make any apology that the origins of it was a pump house. Yeah, and the rooms in it, and the rooms in it are just looking out on these glacial peaks of the Cradle Mountain Lake St Clair National Park. And it's such a distinctive property because to reach the pump house, it's actually set in the lake, and you have to walk this 250-meter flume, which is a long walkway that takes you out into the lake to get to the rooms. And then there's also more rooms on shore.
Gotta love a property with a story like that. Like it's just so it's so nice to stay somewhere that's a little bit unique. You get sick of staying in the same old places, and it's great when it's got such an interesting history. So why should people go there now? Sort of what makes it a great place to visit now?
Well, they've just opened 2 new retreats, which are back on shore because you can't build more onto a pump house. And these are part of a more than a $2 million refurbishment and a development by the pump house owners, which is the NRMA. So hold that thought for that one. So these 2 new retreats are just take the whole thing up a notch. They are separate buildings, and they're new, but they're built from timbers and stone from around the region, and they're hidden into the landscape, and they are just so dramatic. They've got these incredible views over the lakes, over the mountains. In the rooms in the pump house and the rooms in the shore house, they've got an element of communal living to them. So while you have your beautiful room with these full length windows looking out onto the mountains, then you have a communal. It's kind of got almost like a walker's retreat feel about it. You've got communal kitchens and stuff. You go down, that's where you have your cup of tea, sitting in front of big fires, looking at the view. But the retreats are just that bit more secluded as well. So they're fully self-contained, incredible beds. From the bed, of course, you've got these views, your wood-fired stove. I don't think I've ever been on a press trip where we just spent an afternoon playing Scrabble. I just thought it was one of those places where you just rug up with your gorgeous knits and your beanies and things like that, and walk around the area. You have deep baths. You wake up early to watch the sun rising over the mountains. You sit in front of your fire, and you just really are in the moment. And I just and these retreats. This is also what kind of blew my mind a little bit, and this is going to make me sound like an absolute raging food obsessed tragic, which is possibly true, but they're stocked with everything in them. You wouldn't have to leave, and everything is so Tasmanian, from the coffee that's supplied, from the wines. And I counted 7 bottles of wine in there, red, white, and sparkling. It was like from really unusual. Well, the frightening thing is that they refresh everything daily, so you could get yourself in a bit of trouble if you didn't plan it right. So, they just got, these incredible picnic packs, Tasmanian wines. It really is an exercise in Tasmaniana. I just made that word up. Does that work? Tasmaniana. There you go.
Yeah, there you go. Your Australian travel ride of the year. You can make up any word you like.
Yeah.
And so what do they actually include? Like, what if I want to go down and stay there and I'm not part of a famil hosted group, what am I going to get?
Yeah, right. Well, I mean, you could just go down there and lock in, because when you stay at Pump House, and it's open only to guests, so you can't even just wander through and have dinner or something. So it is fully catered for. Breakfast and dinner are in a communal restaurant, and they actually encourage people to share tables, and you'd see people just making connections, and talking about why they were there, and maybe they were celebrating an event. There was people just were sharing their stories. There was a guy who'd been working in paramedics and was there decompressing and stuff like that. And people are talking about how they lived in Sydney, but they were from the US and missed the mountains and things. So it's just really, it's got a curious communal vibe that I think is really unique. Often in, particularly in hotels, you cocoon yourself away from other people. And that is not like it. And again, I said, the everything that's in the retreats is totally Tasmanian, and that is the same on the menu. It is things like, Tasmanian blue-eyed Trevelyan, local lamb, and which you experience at breakfast and dinner in the Shore House dining room. And so and I think one of the biggest delicious things there was actually they were making hot sourdough every day, all through the day. So if at one moment you said, I think I need a bit of hot sourdough, then they would just whip it out of the oven, and you could go there and just lock yourself in and eat yourself into a coma. When you're staying at the retreats, it also includes. Well, I gave it a go. I gave it a hard shot. And that when you're staying at the retreats, it also has a couple of hosted experiences. So there was a whiskey tasting with Sullivan's Cove, which is based down in Hobart, and that is one of the absolute incredibly expensive whiskies. These single cask whiskies that they only produce a couple hundred bottles. So some of those bottles sell for thousands of dollars when they're at auction. And are very rare. And another one that we did was a chocolate tasting from the House of Anvers, which was just fascinating, because you kind of go, oh yeah, chocolate and stuff like that. I can take it or leave it. But we were eating these single estate, single origin chocolates and learning how to taste them. They were pairing them with things like Tasmanian stouts. And, so you're drinking beer and chocolate, champagne and chocolate, sparkling wine and chocolate. And because everything is so Tasmanian, you really feel like you've just had this little gourmet adventure without leaving your very beautiful space. It's around.
It's all gonna help you float better in Maldives, right? I've seen that photo of you floating on your back.
I'm not sharing that one.
Ocean.
That one does need to be shared out in public. Yeah.
No, you look gorgeous. So who's it best suited to?
Well, it is actually an adults only retreat, so no kids, and I'm kind of okay. I'm kind of okay with that. The retreat, Pump House says that it's ideal for couples, honeymooners, and adventurers seeking a bit of indulgence after a day of bushwalking. I would say if you had ever thought of doing the Overland Track, which is, to my mind, Australia's best multi-day walk, this would be my last night stay. So, I mean, it is a luxury resort, and the retreats are priced actually about double the price of the regular rooms. So you're looking at about $2,000 a night, and but that is with everything. That is with all dining, food, drinks, experiences, which are replenished daily. Cannot push that one enough. So if you drunk everything, it just turns up again the next day.
And then if your partner finds it in your suitcase when you get home.
I may have travelled home with a little bit of extra chocolate, extra hand luggage. Yes, definitely. And can I look, hot tip on this one? It is because Pump House is now owned by NRMA Resorts. If you are an NRMA member, you actually get an automatic discount of about 10%, and they will even let you join on the spot when you turn up at the property to get that discount. So great little insider tip.
So what if you don't do the Overland Track and just go there just to eat all the food and drink all the wine? What are you doing when you're there?
Well, they do have short walks around the property, and all of those walks, you're following the shore of Lake St Clair. tiny little walks and stuff. We're talking like half an hour trots around the place because you just ate yourself a second backside at dinner. And you think, I've really got to get out and do something. I think that walking is really the best thing to do there. You've also got history. I took a book with me, and you just read and just be in the moment, or playing Scrabble and things like that. Around that area, you've got fishing in St. Clair Lagoon, which is, if you are up for fly fishing for brown trout or rainbow trout, I've got this weird fascination with fly fishing. They also have massage services there as well. And if you go to the Lake St. Clair National Park office, which is only about 5 minutes drive away, it is the trailhead. So I'm sorry, it is very walky. It is the trailhead. It is the end of the overland track, which is that 65-kilometre 6-day trek coming down from Cradle Mountain to Lake St. Clair. But then it's got a whole series of fabulous walks from 1 hour to a day walk. There's an Aboriginal cultural heritage walk, which is absolutely brilliant. A really gorgeous little walk called the Waters Meet Trail, which I like because it's also wheelchair and, if you've got kids, pram friendly as well. So it's completely accessible. You've got a wide, mostly flat track. And it rolls into the slightly longer Platypus Walk, which is an absolutely beautiful 1.5 hour walk to the lake edge. But the other thing to do there is wildlife spotting. So, it's just full of native wildlife in the area. So we saw wallabies, paddy melons, which are those gorgeous fat-bottomed little cousins to the wallabies. They're just beautiful, sweet-faced little things. We saw echidnas. There were quolls as well, and of course wombats. If you ever wanted to see a wombat in the wild, the place is riddled with them. There was one has taken up residence at Pump House Point, and it just goes there and mows the grass and just wanders through. Even as the snow pelting down, it just wanders, and it's completely unconcerned. I mean, you've got to stay a couple of meters away from them and not to scare them. But they were not easily scared. So there's wildlife crossings everywhere, and you'll see the sign saying wildlife here. And it was kind of funny because it's like, be caution, wildlife crossing ahead. And we get ahead, and there's actually a wombat walking across the road. And I thought, wombats can read in Tasmania. It's just gorgeous. They know exactly where to cross. So that trailhead at the national park is really is a great ground zero to base yourself. So, you don't have to do the overland track, although I would thoroughly recommend it because I think it's one of the best multi-day hikes that I've ever done. But Tassie also has a collection of 60 great short walks. So there are 3 at this point: Echo Point, Shadow Lake, and the Mount Rufus Walk. And they range from like 3 to 4 hours to a full 7-day walk. And actually the Echo Point one incorporates the Lake St. Clair ferry, which takes you out to Echo Point. It's a 28-kilometre round trip, and it goes out 3 times a day. So, yes, you can do walks, but then you've also got those wheelchair accessible walks, and then you've got the ferry as well. That is actually, here's a little bit of a fun fact for you. It is Australia's highest altitude ferry service, and it's a great way to reach walks that start and finish from Narcissus Hut, which is located at the northern end of Lake St. Clair. Yeah. It's Kirsty, because I was thinking of you for this one because I do know you like a good walk. I know you also don't mind a little gin tasting as well. So I did take one for the team on this one. As I was leaving the National Parks head office, the parks office, with all of its maps and things like that, I just happened to walk past a set of shelves with gin, selling a gin, and this bloke says to me, "Would you like to taste a gin?" I'm like, "Oh, it's 9:30 in the morning or something." Yeah, just we'll see what we can do. The lodge at St. Clair Lodge actually has been distilling its own gin, which is called Trappers and Miggins Overland Gin, sold in the restaurant that is there looking out over the lake. $120 a bottle. Free plug for you. I will put the address in the show notes. And so that was just a nice way to wrap up that very Tasmanian experience, that very local experience as well. But when you are driving back down to Hobart, of course, in Hobart you've got all of those great things like Mona. But you can also stop at New Norfolk on the way through, which is home to the award-winning Agrarian Kitchen, which is part restaurant, part cooking school, and part kitchen garden. And if you don't have time to do that whole restaurant thing, or you're absolutely full, it also has a kiosk. I think this is a bit of a bit of a sly aside that they don't necessarily tell everybody, it also has a kiosk selling these delicious pies and pastries, so you can even pack yourself a little picnic. And New Norfolk is, yeah, I mean, New Norfolk it's an amazing little town. Okay, all right, full disclosure again, this may be the town where my dad comes from, so I did pop in and have a tea with my Auntie Molly. And I got to say, when I was a kid visiting family there, I totally didn't appreciate it's New Norfolk it's just beautiful. It is also Tassie's fourth oldest European settlement and the 12th oldest in Australia, which is insane. And speaking of insane, actually, it was also home to the Willow Court Asylum. So you can actually take a ghost tour through there now. When I was a kid, it was still functioning, the asylum, but now it's turned over to tourists and ghosts.
Yes. No, I love that. I love New Norfolk. It's so beautiful. It's such a quaint little, pretty little place. And walks and wombats and gin, right? You've just got me right there. So so what was the weather like when you went, and what's a good time of year to go?
Well, I went in early October, which is right in the middle of spring. So I was on the 10th of October. On that day, I experienced snow, hail, high wind, temperatures of about 2 degrees. And the funny thing was that you cannot just look at what the temps are in Hobart and go, oh, look, it's 12 degrees, we'll be fine. It's 10 degrees difference, Like I said, wombats mowing the ground in the snow. I wasn't going to pack my hiking boots for the weekend, but I relented, and I'm so glad that I did, because I really think even just for a couple of hours walk, you need to have the right gear, and they do enforce that at the national park. Yep. So even for just an hour or two's walk, I would pack I packed my rain gear, I packed my boots and stuff, because this month has seen several deaths in our alpine wilderness due to fast changing weather in the mountains, in Cradle Mountain and also in the Victorian High Country. So I think the moral of the story is better to be over prepared than under. And the national parks has also shared some tips, because mobile phone coverage is spotty at best. If you are not on Telstra, forget about it. So don't rely on your phone. And the weather is spectacular and spectacularly changeable. So there you go. There's a wrap of the Central Highlands. If you'd like to visit Pump House Point, you can check out the website, pumphousepoint.com.au. And to find out more what's new in Tassie, you can visit discovertasmania.com.au, and we'll put all those details in the show notes.
Amazing. Love Tassie.
You're listening to The World Awaits. Subscribe through our website at theworldawaits.au. Our tip this week is about how to make your Swiss travel pass go further. And this is a great tip because it will save you pots of money. And this tip comes from the fabulous team at Switzerland Tourism.
So Switzerland has a fantastic network of public transport by train, bus, and also boat, and they're all interconnecting. They've just got such a good system going, and they all cross these gorgeous glacial lakes. And Swiss Tourism says the best way to get around is using the Swiss Travel Pass.
Yeah, look, we all know that Switzerland is not a cheap country by any stretch of the imagination. So any budget tips are most appreciated. So the Travel Pass has first and second class versions, which range from 3 days, which costs about $340, up to 15 days travel in 1 month, which costs $670. And these are the second class fares. So obviously the per day charge of the pass gets cheaper the more days you purchase.
The great thing about the pass is that no matter which pass you buy, it includes 3 additional mountain excursions at no extra cost, and the 3 experiences are all nearly certain.
Yeah, you actually travel on Europe's oldest mountain railway. There's an aerial cableway which climbs up into the Stanzerhorn Mountains, and a trip on the Stoos Funicular, which is the steepest in the world. And another great tip is that children under 6 travel free, and kids up to 16 years of age who are traveling with an adult on the pass also travel free. And then on top of that, there's also a youth fare, which gives you a 30% discount if you are aged between 17 and 25 years. And passes also include free entry to more than 500 museums. And look, Kirsty, I just did a little research for the weirdest Swiss museum and came up with a museum of stuffed frogs, and also the Swiss Witchcraft Museum.
And if you'd like to know more about Swiss travel plans or travelling in Switzerland, visit the country's website, which is switzerland.com.
Next week, we are going to the most aspirational travel destination in the world. Yes, it is the island nation of the Maldives. Come with me as we venture into a couple of the atolls and find out why everybody's going.
And we'd love it if you follow us on socials. You'll find us at The World Awaits Podcast on Instagram, Facebook and LinkedIn. And feel free to drop us a line at hello@theworldawaits.au. And if you're enjoying this episode, please give us a rating or review.
That's a wrap for The World Awaits this week. Click to subscribe anywhere you listen to your favourite pods.
Thanks for listening. See you next week.